Hi, my name is Dr. Felucia. I'm a licensed psychologist and owner of Skillset Counseling, where I focus on the treatment of OCD, spiritual abuse, cultural abuse, and other types of psychological abuse. And so in today's video, I'm going to be covering a topic that many of you have asked about in the comment sections or have alluded to in some way. And that is, when we look at spiritual abuse and we look at it outside church communities, what does it look like? And although spiritual abuse can vary in the specifics depending on what type of community, spiritual community the abuse is happening in, there are going to be several characteristics that are in common with each of these environments. So today, I'm going to be talking about what you will see in spiritually abusive environments, regardless of where they are, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a church. It doesn't have to be small church, big church, anything non-religious. It doesn't matter. All spiritually abusive environments have certain things in common. The first one that they tend to have in common is fear-based, underhanded control. And what I mean by that is that nobody ever comes out and says, I'm going to control you, or my goal in life is to control you. But these types of environments, they do that. They operate and thrive off of control. That's their goal. And one way in which they do this is they use fear, but it's not fear in the way you think. And so when people think about fear-based control, they often think about somebody being angry, being very loud, being very strict. But one thing you'll find about these environments is they tend to actually seem very warm and welcoming and very fuzzy, lovey-dovey at first. And so a lot of people will say that they felt welcome. They felt like they were part of a community. They felt very drawn in. And then later on, as they started to learn more about this community, and then they, whether through interactions with other people or certain things, they began to sense that something was not right. And what this not right thing that you're sensing is the underhanded, manipulative ways that individuals in this environment control people. And one way, like I said, they do it is through fear. And let's talk about some of those examples. What would that look like? Sometimes they will give a person a lot at the very beginning. And so there's a video I have on this called Love Bombing and Spiritual Abuse. And I want you to look at that video because that will help you understand more about what this can look like. But in these types of environments, they will give you a lot at the beginning, or they might flatter you a lot at the beginning. Basically, the types of things that you get in the beginning that feel very comforting and make you feel special are a way of controlling you. And the fear that I'm talking about is the fear that those things will be removed, right? So it could be, maybe you were given some sort of special privilege. And so what is communicated through these types of environments is like, look, if you don't stay on track, if you don't do what we tell you to do, then these things are going to be removed. Now, of course, I'm not going to tell you that, but you will see that with certain people. And so let's say you are in this environment for a while, maybe somebody challenges the leader or they challenge the establishment. And then now you see this person kind of shunned, right? Or bad things are starting to be, talked about regarding this person, rumors, just you see a huge difference between the way this person was treated before and after, right? And so that is a form of fear-based control. The environment never has to tell you, we're going to make you pay if you go against us. They use other people as an example. So that's the first one, is fear-based control. And again, that fear is underhanded. Remember that in these types of environments, people are looking for the word here, they're not going to come out and declare their intentions. They're very underhanded, very sneaky, very manipulative. And when that happens, it makes it harder to leave, makes it harder to detect everything that's going on. So the first one, fear-based control. The second one is misapplication of principles, right? And so if you're in a spiritual community that has like a particular sacred text or scripture, they will misapply that, but it's not even that. It doesn't even have to be that, right? Every I think spiritual organization has, I guess, some, it may be written or it may not be written, but they have, a code of established behavior and principles and things like that. And what you will find in these environments is that they're often misapplied, right? And so let's say you are getting together in a group of people in a spiritual environment and you focus on, your spirituality, right? What they may do is they may take, they may misapply and twist different principles as a way of controlling other areas of your life. And it's a very subtle thing, but it is a way of making sure that you don't go against what they want and you become dependent on them. It kind of goes along the fear thing before that I talked about with the fear-based control. And so it's one of those things where they, through this misapplication, they may inflate their importance and their role in your life. It's not just come here to do this each week. It's you better be doing all this stuff all the time and we're watching you. And so it's almost like their influence. And this is, again, through misapplication of certain principles, they will twist those things in order to get control over you. And with the fear part, again, I wanted to bring up another thing is creating a kind of like dependence on them and making people scared that if they leave, that their lives will not be the same. And so, again, it's very subtle, right? That's one thing I want you to understand about spiritual abuse. It's nuanced and it's subtle. And so it's a sort of thing, like if you can imagine an abusive partner telling somebody, well, nobody will ever love you as much as I do, or nobody's going to see anything in you. If you leave, you won't do any better. Nobody's going to put up with the stuff that I put up with you. And people who have been in abusive relationships have heard things like that. And so going back to the fear thing that I was talking about before, spiritually abusive environments will often convey the same message in a subtle way, saying that, well, if you leave us or if you, go somewhere else, you won't be able to survive. Your life is going to fall apart. Sometimes in some environments they might say that, but they will imply that you have no life or no value outside that environment. And again, that's fear-based control. If you look at my other videos that I talk about spiritual abuse, you'll see that these environments feel entitled to your time and your resources, and they pretty much want to control how you use these things. And so when you think about the issue of if you leave, then your life is gonna fall apart. What they're really scared of is you investing your time and resources in another organization. And so I've talked about two things so far: misapplication of scriptures, text, and principles. I've talked about fear, underhanded, fear-based control. And then the third one that I want to mention is really focusing on somebody's charisma, their personal presentation over character. And so what you'll find in these spiritually abusive environments is that the leaders or the people, the higher ups, tend to be quite charismatic people. They're very charming. They are lots of glitter on the outside, but not a lot of substance inside. Their character leaves a lot to be desired. But in these types of situations, that's what spiritually abusive people like. They like people like that who are charismatic because they draw people in. When they're charming, they're able to cover up a lot. And I'm not saying that if you are have a big personality, you're charismatic, you're charming, that you're a bad person. Not saying that at all, but when that is the focus over character, it's a big problem. And so when you look over, if you're keeping up with the news about spiritual abuse and you see things that have happened in different organizations, something that happens is when that focus is so much on charisma at the expense of character, people who harm other people are given lots and lots of second chances. Things are swept under the rug. So I'll give you an example with one particular college ministry that I learned about this through the news, that there was an individual, a man in there who was abusing boys, abusing other people, and this man actually had he was actually on a registered sex offender list. This organization allegedly let him work for them anyway, because they said, oh, he's so, I'm trying to remember the words they used, but basically they were really focusing on how amazing this man was and how many people loved him and liked him. And so because they focused on that so much, they looked at it as, well, you know what, we can give him another chance. And they just brushed all those allegations under the rug and let him in, only for him to do some horrible things to so many other people. And it's sad to think about. It's not, it's very upsetting and very disturbing, because this could have been prevented if he was not allowed to work for that organization at all. And so again, I'm going to go over the 3 things. The first thing is fear-based control. Second thing is like misapplication of principles, texts, scriptures, whatever it is that is important to that organization. And then the third thing is focusing on charisma over character. And by doing that, really kind of allowing dangerous people and dangerous behaviors to continue. Okay, so this is going to be part 1 of the series. There's so much more I can talk about, but I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. What other things do you feel are common to spiritually abusive environments, regardless of where they're operating from, what type of environment they're in? I'd love to hear from you about that. If you're finding this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, comment. I love hearing from everyone in the comment section. You guys are just amazing. And comment, share, subscribe. And if you want to book a consultation with me, you can go to my website, skillsetcounseling.com. All right, have a peaceful and wonderful day. Bye-bye.